Oh, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are in the world. Happy Shochu'sday from both of us here in Okinawa, Japan. Um, Kari?
Kari.
You
I don't have a drink.
don't have a
I
drink.
gave you my coffee.
Oh, well, yeah, I have Steven's coffee. Tastes better because it's Steven's. But we're in Okinawa, and we want to talk a little bit today about what we've been up to and what we've been learning here in Okinawa.
Yeah, uh, we were hoping to do this outside. We're in Zampa, which, if you've heard of the pretty big brand, Zampa is a brand from a distillery up here in this region. It's a beautiful coastline. Unfortunately, there's a typhoon hitting the Taiwan area right now, so a little windy outside. So we figured we'd do it from indoors here at the Royal Hotel Zampa Misaki, I believe.
That's right.
And it's a little dated, but it's kind of a resort hotel. A little kitschy. We're sitting under a little palm frond gazebo sort of thing.
Sort of, yeah.
There's fake grass under us. So, yeah, it's like being outdoors but not outdoors.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, yeah, the elements are not cooperating, but it's a beautiful part of the Yomitan region, up on this cape, this horn that sticks out on the west side, north of Naha, and highly recommend coming up here if you can, because it's very quiet, but there are some things to do, some things to keep you busy, even if you have a family. The beach is like right there. And I saw some people out there on the beach this morning practicing. So I think they were going to go sea kayaking or something, and they were practicing the motions in the sand.
Yep.
But anyway, so what have we been up to? Maybe that's the main thing for today. And feel free to ask any questions at any time.
I had edited that, but it didn't save it. Sorry
Oh,
about
that's
that.
weird.
So
Okay,
let's not show
let's
that.
not show that. Okay.
Yep.
So let's maybe talk about yesterday.
Yeah. So yeah, yesterday we did what? We did two things. We visited a traditional
Yeah.
fabric maker,
Mm-hmm.
Bingata, which is if you've seen the pictures or if you've actually been to Okinawa or in Japan, you see the ceramic pots that have a fabric top. That fabric is known as Bingata. It's a traditional Okinawan fabric style of textile.
Yeah.
And we saw a Bingata maker. We actually were able to tour their studio. He had maybe 8 or 10 people working, actually painting the inks or the dyes into the fabric, the really long swaths of fabric. And it's a really, really painstaking method, and seems like a lot of time.
It is, yeah. It's those textiles are very, very expensive, and you see why immediately, because everything is it's kind of hand painted with these little brushes,
Yeah.
and it seems to take weeks.
I think, yeah, for one bolt of cloth, basically.
Yeah.
Now, these are very long bolts of cloth, but it was really incredible to watch. And the current owner of the company he's the 10th generation of his family to be making this fabric. He actually showed us a document that had been an order from the king of the Ryukyu, ordering some of the fabric from this company. And so this is a long history, and they do things very, very traditionally. And they start out with a stencil, right? So they actually begin the entire process. Once they got the bolt of fabric that they're going to work on, they have a stencil, and then the stencil has to repeat over the entire length of the bolt. And so it's a really, really careful process to make sure that the lines line up and everything. He demonstrated that for us. But then all of the little things in the stencil are then hand painted, and each artist in the studio is responsible for a different color, because you need the color consistency. So if you're yellow for that bolt of cloth, you're going to do yellow for the entire thing. Nobody else can do the yellow because they don't have your eye, right? So then somebody else is blue, somebody's green, somebody's red, purple, pink.
Yeah.
So you just got pretty remarkable production line, right?
And these are the length of the room. They're stretched out across maybe only about a foot,
About a foot wide.
but probably a good, I don't know, 40 feet long, maybe longer than
Close
that.
to that, yeah.
Yeah. And everybody's on these rolly chairs, and they sit there with two different brushes, and the brushes are made of human hair, which we learned because we saw the hair in a box. It was kind of interesting. And two brushes in their hand, and I don't quite understand what they do, but they like put the paint on there with one brush, and then they kind of smear it within the space of the flower or the petal or the mountainscape or the cloud or whatever it is. These are very, very colorful, very, really, um, like, like, I don't, what's the word? They're tropical and they're really positive. They're vibrant. That's a good word.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
really stunning.
Yeah, really pretty.
Yeah.
And it takes forever.
Yeah.
It takes literally forever to do this.
That's right. Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Yeah. And that was really fantastic. And we'd actually just ran into him randomly, like what, a year and a half ago, maybe.
Yeah. At the bar.
At Awamori Soko, which is a pretty incredible awamori bar. He has what, 800 brands or more, something insane like that.
Yeah.
We tried a single. So the night before we actually were there, we tried a single ceramic pot bottling from 1992. So,
right. Oh, yeah. This is our third day here. I didn't even think. Wait, hold on. I forgot Monday. What did we do on Monday?
Oh, right. Monday, well, we flew in.
We flew in,
and then we had to call an audible for lunch. We ended up having tacos. Or no, burritos. We had burritos
at a takeout place. We sat in the rain in a gazebo on the beach near the beach. That was
and then we went to a koji maker. Now, I had never been to a koji maker. A question that I've often gotten from people is like, so do distilleries make their own koji? And no, making koji is its own job. It's a full-time process, and it's a different skill set. So we actually met a koji maker that's responsible for the koji. They sell to 38 of the 47 Okinawan awamori distilleries, and they make. What I didn't realize that I think was pretty fascinating to learn about was that they make slightly different species of koji, and then they blend them for sale. And you'll have high acidity koji that'll protect the fermentation, and then you have the really efficient saccharification koji that'll create the sugars.
Mm-hmm.
And so they actually work together.
Yeah,
it was pretty wild to see the koji making. And it's a very, very small building. It's tiny.
Yeah. I mean, they're making little. Their product is little bags of tane koji, which is rice with koji on it that's been dehydrated, and they sell these bags to the distilleries. But it's really taken for granted, I think, how much attention to detail goes into making the koji. And it was a very, very. They were nervous. They don't like to have people visit, right? Because. If you introduce any what's called zaki or any ne'er-do-wells, other organisms, other bacteria or microbes into the process, and then those microbes make it into the bag, into the product, and those and then they flourish wherever the end user is, whichever distillery they end up at, then that's curtains for the koji maker. So it's a very, very clean space. It's much more like a laboratory.
It is. And they were going to sterilize it after we left, right?
Yeah.
They were not making anything because we were there. And then they basically, they were worried. And then, of course, you're not supposed to eat natto when you go to a distillery. You're especially not supposed to eat natto when you're going to a koji maker.
Mm-hmm.
So they let us into virtually all of the different rooms except for the final finishing room. And they were just going to hose the place down after we left.
I think that was the plan.
Yeah.
Bless them. Yeah, so that's very cool. That's of course black koji because we're in Okinawa and Awamori only uses black koji.
That's right.
And they do work with a few different strains of black koji. So there is a family tree there and there's more than just a singular black koji. There are different family members that have various talents that, as Stephen said, might be blended together in the product that is sold to the distilleries. I don't know if you can hear that piano in the background. Hopefully it's not too distracting.
Our new soundtrack.
Yeah, right.
And then after the koji maker, we actually ended up checking our hotel, and then we went to great little izakaya called Karakara to Chibugwa, which is a very long name if you're not familiar with the local dialect. But it's literally the little ceramic serving vessels for awamori when you're sharing a little 100 ml, 180 milliliter pour, and then chibugwa is a tiny little choko, little cups, the tiny ceramic cups that they serve it in. And this place is completely run by awamori meisters. So these are all people trained in awamori. Everybody that works there is a meister. And then they specialize in shitsugi. And so anything that you order by the ichigo on the menu, the 180 ml serving, has been resting in a pot. And whenever the pot gets consumed a little bit, they fill it with whatever brand it was that they started with. But some of these pots have been there since the restaurant opened, have never been emptied, and the restaurant's been there for 18 years. So you have pretty remarkable awamori that I think would be hard to find almost anywhere else, at least in Central.
Oh yeah. I mean, we had one of the pots we shared was a 10-year. I think it was the Sangosho from Yamakawa that had been shitsugi in their Solera system for 18 years. So that's potentially as long as 28-year-old awamori that's still making up part of that pot. And we had some amazing food. We had some of the greatest hits, I think, of like the things that you know about. We had some rafte. What else did we have? We had
Goya champuru.
Goya champuru. Yep.
Stir-fried goya and other veggies and eggs usually. Just great Okinawan food. Nice night out. Then yesterday, as we talked about at the beginning of the shift, since we talked about day 2 before day 1.
Yeah, geez.
Was the bingata maker, the fabric maker, and then we went to the most kitschy restaurant I believe I've been to since the 1980s.
Yep.
Place called Sam's by the Sea. They serve curry from a cauldron.
Cauldron curry.
They serve tiki drinks. The waitresses were all in little sailor outfits. It looked like Halloween.
Yep.
And they overcooked steaks. It was a pretty remarkable. Like, you really felt like, some restaurant in, I don't know, Hawaii maybe.
Yeah.
It was like Waikiki in the 80s
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun little spot.
That was.
Don't go for the food. Go for the experience.
Yep.
And then we went to Miyasato, which is pretty awesome.
Miyasato Distillery, which is we learned the oldest building in the neighborhood, and they can't scale, they can't expand, they can't really do anything to the building because it's residential and the zone is not protected. But because it's residential, they can't turn it into a full-scale distillery. So it's pretty much the exact same building that's been there since just after the war.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel it when you go in there. It's really, on the outside, you're like, that's a distillery.
Yeah.
And you walk in and you're like, oh,
yeah,
this is a distillery. Huh?
The roof tiles are deteriorating. There's plants growing out of the seams of the roof.
Yep.
And you get in there and it's an active distillery, but it's tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought Yamato Zakura was small. These guys make about 25% by volume of what Yamato Zakura makes.
Yeah.
Sort of 1/4 the size of Yamato Zakura.
And they are responsible for harusame, which is a very popular, sought after awamori. Very, very smooth, no matter what the expression.
Yeah.
And they do a variety of them, all harusame.
That's right. It's all by the same brand. I have 3 bottles in my suitcase. I'm very, very happy.
Yeah. There was a little bit of a buying spree at the end before we got out of there.
Yeah.
But the Toru Miyasato, the guy who runs the show, or I guess he's kind of the president of the company. He's a great storyteller.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we had a really, really fun time learning a little bit about how they got to where they are and his philosophy in terms of what he's trying to do. They have so little storage capacity. It's really kind of unfair,
right,
given the quality of what they're producing.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing he focuses on that he shared with us was that he really tries to make, because he can't age too much product for too long, he tries to come up with expressions that are surprisingly mature for their age, I guess is what he's, and then also product that pairs with a variety of different cuisine. And what were the big ones?
Yeah, well, he just released, and I think he just released the wa version. So it's
The
basically,
wa, yeah.
So which is to go with Japanese food, and he's working on a yo version, which would be to pair with Western food. And how he does it, it's really interesting, is they try the moromi, they taste the actual moromi, the actual fermentation while the fermentation is going on. Have a taste of that and a taste of the dish that they're trying to pair it with, and see if that matches. And if it seems like it's the right point, then they stop the fermentation and they distill at that point, hoping to capture that flavor profile and that match. And if they don't, then they do it over again. They'll try another batch, and
Trial and error.
they've been working on this project for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's been a 20-year experiment, and they just released the WA version, and it's bottled at 15% alcohol. You basically, and what was really remarkable about it is at 15%, which is usually what you get after dilution with awamori, right? You're taking a 30%, cutting it in half with water in a mizuwari. You're at 15. He's bottling at 15, and then he served it to us as a highball with soda, 50-50, and it held up. Yeah, it still had plenty of body, plenty of flavor. Mm-hmm. It was like incredible to think this is 7% awamori that's standing up. So yeah, that was a very, very cool experience. And then he had us. Was that the one that we had? We chewed raisins. Was that a different one?
The raisins was with the 1 year aged and the 3 year aged, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we did this little raisin chewing experiment about how even after you chew the you chew the raisins with the awamori in your mouth, and well, you chew the raisins first. Once they get sweet, you put some awamori in your mouth. You finish, you swallow, then you drink more awamori and you taste the raisins. So that was a fun taste. I think that was just the raisins stuck in my teeth.
Yeah, I think it might have been mine too. I got some gaps in my teeth. There were probably some raisins hiding in there.
Yeah, but no, it was really, really, really educational. It was funny because we expected to spend maybe an hour or so, because whenever we've gone there, we've never tasted anything. Right? They're just such a tiny place. They're not really set up for tourists or visitors, and so it's always usually just like, here's the still, here's the fermentation tanks, here's our koji room. Yeah. Here's
True.
And we're sorry the place is so small.
Yeah, he says that. He apologizes.
And this time we actually sat down and tasted, and it was a remarkable experience.
Yeah. So that was good. So then we came up here to the Zampa Cape yesterday evening, and we went to a restaurant up here that you had been to before, called Awamori Pub. What was it? Awamori Pub Yomitan Monogatari, I think.
That's right. Yeah, it's a mouthful also.
Yep. And that was a really cool place where they have a ton of awamori there, but no bottles. Yeah. Like everything behind the bar is in clay. Yeah. So that was kind of cool. And apparently they will give you, a lot of places you can just buy the bottle just like you buy a bottle of wine, right? But that bottle is almost always 720 mils. But they do 1.8 liter bottles there.
Yeah, you can do bottle keep at 1.8.
1.8, and they'll keep it in a clay pot up on the shelf. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. We had some great food there. We shared a bunch of interesting awamori. Yeah. I will definitely go back to that place.
They've got a bunch of brands available, but their focus is Zampa, which is the nearby distillery. The distillery that makes the nearby brand, but they had 5 different expressions, and all of them are secondary aging there at the bar. And that kame, the ceramic pot that they had on behind the bar, must have been, that was big, 200 or 300 liters. It was massive. Yeah, it was human size. Like you could hide a human in there. Yeah. So very, very cool izakaya. Yeah, and their menu is quite seasonal, because when I had gone there last time, they had goat sashimi, which doesn't sound appealing, and trust me, it's not. But it's something to try. And this time there wasn't any goat sashimi on the menu because nobody had butchered a goat locally recently, so they actually had like a goat stew, which we did not order. But we tried lots of other interesting things. So great, cool spot for sure.
We just gotta, because we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing today, but we'll probably give the highlights next week. I had a coffee bridge. Kurosato is Kokuto and Kurosato are 2 different ways to say the same thing. 2 different pronunciations of those 2 characters. So that's the same thing. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah. Hide current comment. Yeah. And then I think, Richard had. We would love to see some pictures if you took any.
We're remote right now on our phone, so it's not our usual setup. But we will maybe share some pictures next week, and I'm sure they'll be on our social as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so awamori coffee is definitely a thing. We've been enjoying that. So we're not driving. We are on a little tour. So we've got a bus, and we put a little awamori in our coffee here and there.
Yeah, it is kind of, they're very happy bedfellows, aren't they?
Yeah, they really
Awamori
are.
and coffee.
Yep, pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's a just try it.
Yep,
Trust us.
No
it
question.
works.
And it's just a shot of awamori in a regular size coffee. You're not doing a 50-50 or anything there. You just want a little bit of sweetness from the awamori. So Justin, if you'd like to have goat sashimi, I recommend you go to Miyako.
Right.
In Miyako, they have fantastic goat sashimi. The goat sashimi I had here in Yomitan last time I was up here, not good. I think it was an old goat. It was not a happy goat. It was tough.
Yeah, a rough life.
Yeah, the Miyako goat, I think, was, and they called it goat sashimi, but I kind of suspect it was lamb. So I think it was a young one. It was tender. It was
interesting.
Delicious. So
a little too good to be goat.
Yeah.
Let me get rid of these comments.
Yeah.
Do I hit it again? Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So today, last day of the trip, unfortunately, flying back.
Yeah, this evening.
But we've got another distillery visit, and we've got a little glass making this morning. We're going to learn how to make some of the UQ glass. Then what? Pottery Village. Yomitan is famous for pottery. We're going to go visit the Pottery Village. Find another lunch spot. Not sure yet. Hopefully not as cheesy as yesterday. And then we're going to Chuko, which makers of Yokka Koji, which obviously Honkaku Spirits has just started bringing into the U.S. And they also make their own ceramics. So it's a heavy ceramic day.
It's a drinking cup day, basically.
Exactly.
Which is a good way to do it, I think.
Not bad.
Yeah. So yeah. We're at 22 minutes. Okay, good.
Yeah. I still got to pack.
Okay, yeah. So we do have to get going today. So another kind of brief episode, but just wanted to clue everybody in on the ride, the journey that we're on at the moment. And next week we'll probably be able to fill you in on day 3.
Yeah. Why don't we plan that? Next week will be a awamori trip overview and maybe our thoughts and reflections on the state of the industry and that sort of thing. We've gotten a lot of information. I think it's going to take us a little time to process it, and we'll give you an update next week.
Excellent. Thank you everybody for joining us once again for another episode of Shochu'sday. Wherever you are around the world, take care of yourselves, keep a smile on your face, and from both of us here in Japan, kanpai.
Kanpai.